good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order at 3:02 on Wednesday, February 1st. Happy New Year. The last time we were all together, we were having a really good time and eating a lot of food. So we're really glad to be here today. And we'll go ahead and start with roll call. Annette. Is that Annette? Okay, never mind. So Annette, if you'll do roll call, please.
Gina Castellano. Abraham Mendoza. Linda Patrick. Johanna Schick.
Present.
Jas Honderpaul Singh. And Naja Steger.
Present. Thank you so much. And now I'd like to introduce our new committee members. We're very thankful to have Josh Paul Singh with us, and he goes by Sonny also. And we also have two new members who are unable to be here today, Gina Castellano and Abe Mendoza. And now if we could go ahead and approve the minutes for the meeting from October 5th, 2022.
Naja?
Oh,
I did
go
want
too
to let you know that after submitting the draft minutes, staff identified, excuse me, staff identified and will make a few corrections, including listing Johanna Schick as present in the minutes and correcting a few non-substantive typos.
thank you.
With that, I would move that we approve the minutes with changes.
Okay, thank you, Johanna. Do we have a second? Thank you, Sunny. Are there any opposed or abstentions? Hearing none, motion carries.
Technically, shouldn't he abstain because he wasn't at the October 25th meeting?
Oh, yes, you're right.
Sorry.
You're right.
It's not required. It's not required, okay.
So we're good? Okay. So moving on, we'll do self-introductions of visitors in attendance.
Hello, my name is Rachel Novitsky. I'm a Principal Personnel Analyst with Human Resources and happy to be here today. Thank you.
Kim Delacruz, Sheriff's Office. Kim Delacruz, Sheriff's Office.
And if there are any coordinators or visitors on the Teams meeting, please type your name and department number in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. And then we'll go to public comment. Do we have any public comment online? If you could maybe raise your hand or just go ahead and unmute your mic and share.
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Well, next, it looks like we have nomination and election of 2023 EEO Advisory Committee Chair and Vice Chair. So we'll start with the chair and take anyone who's interested in chairing the committee.
I just have a question. Are there any rules that say that the existing officers can't, like, is there a term limit or something like that?
No, there's
No.
not.
Then I would nominate Naja to continue as chair.
Yeah, I second that.
I think you're doing a fabulous job.
Thank you. Okay, so do we have any other nominations for chair for the committee? Hearing none, do we have, are all in favor? Or all who are in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, motion carries. And for the vice chair, currently, we had someone as vice chair who I believe is no longer able to serve, so we're looking for a vice chair for the committee. Do we have any nominations?
Linda, would you be willing to serve in that office? Great, then I would nominate Linda to be our vice chair.
Do I have a second?
I second that.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sunny.
You're welcome.
So we have a second. Do we have any who oppose or abstain? Hearing none, congratulations. You are now the vice chair of the committee. So thank you so much for that. And then moving along, we have the EEO program report, Ms. Constance Bibbs.
Thank you, Naja. So as far as Civil Service Rule 20 complaints go, there are currently 11 complaints, some that are in some phase of the formal complaint process. The protected categories and/or conduct currently at issue are race, medical condition, sex, gender, sexual harassment, marital status, retaliation, color, national origin, physical or mental disability, and political affiliation or belief. Out of the 11 complaints, about 3 of these complaints are either closing within 30 days or in the final stages of the complaint process, which means that there's final reports, closing notices, or something like that being sent. There are currently no requests for appeals. There is a government leadership training that is designed to assist and ensure individuals are understanding their roles and responsibilities of being a board member. And the county requires all board members to attend the training within 90 days of appointment. Our office will be reaching out to those new members of the committee and providing them with the calendar. And for anyone who wants a refresher, I'll be sending it to the whole group. So you'll have a calendar listing the trainings that are scheduled for the whole year. Also, there is an ethics training that the county also requires all board members to, committee members to attend and to get a certificate. So I'll be sending that information out to our new members so that they can get the ethics training certificate. As far as the EEOAC membership goes, the office is going to work, the EEO office will work on updating the EEO roster. We have several members that are no longer on the committee as well as new ones, so we'll provide that to you once the update is completed. I do want you to know, as far as the EEO office goes, the Francisco Martin, who was here assisting at our past meetings, he has accepted a promotional opportunity with EEDD and is no longer working in the Human Resources Department. And also, and my final announcement is that the EEO Program Manager recruitment opened yesterday, January 31st, 2023, and is scheduled to close on February 24th, 2023. And the details about the position can be found on our county website. That concludes my report.
Thank you so much, Constance. We're looking at moving into old business. Oriana, did you want to go through? It looks like you have a bunch of points here.
Yeah, it's one long point. It's just one long point. So the EEO plan update, one of the things that I just wanted to recap with you all is that we are currently in the process of looking at building out the web page that we talked about before. And just for anybody who is new and just a little bit more information, one of the things that we're really trying to do with this EEOAC, with this committee, is to be more outward facing into the community as well as to our employees. And we want people to know that we're here, we're trying to become a little bit more visible. So we will be creating that web page on our main county website. And we're going to get a little bit more into that in new business, but I did just want to give you guys an update on that there is still the plan to create a web page that will have some videos on with you all, clips of you all I will write out a little script and work with you to generate so that we can have some videos up there showing people what it means to be an EEOAC member and what it is that we're trying to do here in EEO and really just getting ourselves out there so that people feel comfortable, confident in coming to us. They know us when they see us, and that really is going to be sort of the starting point for recreating and sort of redefining what this committee is all about. Any questions on that bullet point? The next thing that I wanted to just review, and we talked about this a little bit in a past meeting, but I do want to just emphasize the importance of the language that we use, particularly because we're doing sort of this outward-facing web page and program. So we do have an EEOAC mission statement. San Joaquin County has a vision statement on workplace diversity as well as a definition of workplace diversity. Those two, the vision statement and the definition of workplace diversity, are not something that we're really diving into. It really is just the language in the EEOAC mission statement that we can potentially change as a committee. The vision statement and definition of workplace diversity really are a larger county process. And so for the EEOAC mission statement, it currently reads, the EEOAC will provide advice to the Board of Supervisors that will enhance the working environment for all county employees and promote the rich diversity of county residents. We need to determine if that's the language that we want to post on the website for our mission statement, or if there's anything in there that we want to change, revamp, reword. It really is the work of this committee to define what it is that this committee is going to do as far as the mission statement, right? We all need to understand what the limitations are as well as the committee. We don't want to have, a lot of overreach into the employment portions, but as far as the committee is concerned, what are the things that we're really trying to do as committee members? And what do we want the community to know that we're doing as committee members? And so it's up to you all to determine whether this mission statement really is in alignment with what you want people to view as synonymous with your membership in the committee, or if there's other language that you feel like we need to add, modify, change. So I wanted to just bring this back one more time, because as we're getting ready to develop this site, this is going to be one of those things that's going to be at the very forefront of that page, right? Right there in the center. And so if there are changes to it, then we want to be able to modify that. So, giving you all a little homework assignment that I'm hoping that you guys really can prioritize and just take a few moments to look at it, see what resonates with you, what speaks to you around the mission statement. And when you review that, if there's any language that you feel that you want to change or adapt, words that you feel may be a little antiquated or things that you want to make sure that you add to this statement, that you send it over to, I guess it would be Constance right now, to send it over to Constance, and you could CC me on it as well, but we're going to develop all of that language so that at the next meeting, we really are going to dive into it if there's any changes. If I get back that everybody's like, nope, that's how I feel good about it, but I'm asking for each of you to send it to me either way. Send me a thumbs up, it looks good enough to me, or you know what, can we change the to there? Whatever it is that you feel that you want to change, I just want something back from you all so that we can know that everybody sort of had their stamp of approval on it. And then when we bring it back to the committee, if there's some language change, we'll workshop it here, otherwise in the next meeting, so it'll be a little bit more of a working meeting, right? Because we will workshop any language changing at that time. But I want to give you all whatever so if Johanna, for example, sends me a statement, that's going to be included in the packet for next time, so that you have time to review it beforehand too, to say, oh, I really agree with that, or this is great, but I would just change this one word. But that is something that you all are being charged with as members of the community, and I know that, as members of the committee, and I know that you all want to be a lot more active. So this is your first assignment in being active, and your second assignment will be coming in my next statement. Yes.
Okay, so I would like to ask a question, and I really like this mission statement. It's just really clear. What I would like to ask is, are we able to put a process in place where what comes from here, we're giving advice to the Board of Supervisors, I guess is my question. I don't think I just asked that right, but.
Yeah, no, I think my comment, I think, is very similar, which is, this is not my experience of this committee. I believe that this committee provides input and advice to staff, and staff reports to the Board of Supervisors. And I'm comfortable with that, but the two are out of alignment. And I may be coming at it from a different angle than where you are, but that my experience on the committee is, I've never spoken to the Board of Supervisors on this topic. When I was asked to participate on this committee, I was never charged with that. And I kind of wonder if maybe this was the mission statement when that was originally created, before the EEO office was built out and really had a management structure. And now that you do, usually department heads or managers of the department for the county report to the Board of Supervisors. And, you know, as community members, we are providing input and insights to you all to consider as you're formulating your recommendations. So that's kind of how I see it. And I, you know, may or may not have interpreted what you were saying, Nadja, correctly. You might have a very different view. But
Was mainly saying how we can know that the things that are happening here are getting to the Board of Supervisors and becoming a recommendation, and then seeing if it's taken or how it plays out.
So Oriana, do you mind if I?
Yes.
So Jennifer Goodman, Assistant Director of Human Resources. You know, I think conceptually, many of the boards and commissions that the Board of Supervisors put into place, they all are put in place in a way to provide advice to the board. Sometimes, you're right, it is through staff. I think conceptually, to me, the EEO plan that is presented to the Board of Supervisors, which you have input on, is a really direct way that you are advising the board. There's, you know, one thing I'd like us to consider for the next EEO plan is actually having the committee members participate in the presentation to the board, because that would be a very tangible way for you to provide some information to the board, a Board of Supervisors. But I think that part of it is somewhat conceptual, in that most boards and commissions, advisory committees, are in some way providing some role in support of the Board of Supervisors, so they are able to set policy as they need to. It may be a little bit of the mission statement, calling it out in such a really direct way, may be what we can, you know, wordsmith a little bit, so it doesn't feel like you're advising the board, right, where you're like, we really don't have interaction with the board. But I think it's very clear you do advise the HR staff in the EO program, you know, very directly. So I could see that would be maybe something we could potentially change. But I think conceptually it is all done in support of ensuring the board has advice on what could be considerations for them from a policy standpoint.
So given that, if we do that and we count the EEO plan as the advice, then can we put a process in place to have feedback? So what I'm saying is, we talked about the plan and we put everything there, and then we won't talk about the plan for 2 years, but we don't see where the connection is, how they've used what the recommendation was, and if it was fruitful.
Absolutely. So
Yeah.
I think, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Oriana Mahoney. I think that that's one of the things that we're really trying to revamp in our entire structure of this committee, right? And the meetings and the sorts of things that we report back on you, to you. So we should be taking that plan moving forward, and those are going to sort of influence what agenda topics come up so that you can get information on. If we say something in the plan, like we are going to develop a new ethics policy around, or a diversity course, then we're going to bring that to you to say and present, hey, we've had, 4,000 of our 7,000 staff have completed this diversity, and that's really the level of information we want you to be able to participate in. And I think, to go back to the question around the language, that's exactly why we want to review this language, right? Because you guys have both sort of said it in different ways, all the more reason to clean up and clear out the language. If you know that you're advising the board, but you're advising the board through the actions that take place within the board meetings to staff, then you might want to frame it that way in whatever language that you want to use. But I think that it's important that the mission statement actually have something impactful behind it, and it has true meaning, so you truly do know and understand what it is that this committee's doing. So when you see something like, I advise the board, I never talk to the board, that's what we are trying to sort of correct in this next process, right? We want you guys to have those interactions and attend those board meetings when something's being presented for EEO as the backup, right? So as the chair, as the vice chair, it could potentially be that one of you are sitting there with whoever the EEO program manager is to present the next proposal in 2 years from now. So I think that, or this time around, it already just passed, right? Recently. So 2 years from now. I just think that in trying to get you all more active in the process, we need to make sure that we're naming what that process is supposed to be. And this is just one of those jumping off points to be able to do that.
Thank you so much.
So it was clear to me, Oriana, when you mentioned, sorry, Johanna Schick. So you said that this would be a discussion item at the next meeting, so, and that we should email our comments to Constance and copy you. What is the cutoff deadline so that we get it to you all in time for the agenda materials? Since I ran into that in December.
So our next meeting is April 5th. I would say that if we could have it by March 1st, gives you all 30 days to work on it, because then I can do what I need to do to set it up to be able to present to you all come April. And we'll just take whatever language that you have, and we'll show everybody any language that's been changed. And then, like I said, we're going to workshop it. We're going to look at, oh, I love Johanna's sentence here, but, Naja had a great sentence here, and Sunny had a great sentence here. So we're just going to work on it as a group in that way, and we'll make sure that the other EEOAC members are aware of this bullet point too, because it is something that we are going to need to come back with.
And will you send reminders to folks on the deadline as we start approaching it?
Yes, we can do that. What we can actually do is send a calendar invite. So we can add that to send a calendar invite right away so that it's on your calendar and it'll pop up that day to say, hey, and maybe 1-2 weeks prior, just to give you another little nudge. This is coming.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. And does that complete your report, or did you?
Yes, that concludes the old business.
Okay, moving on to new business. We have the presentation of the EEOAC 2023 calendar review of information submission for the EEOAC member webpage bio. Constance and Oriana.
Well, my part's really quick. I just want to show you the EEOAC 2023 calendar as it currently stands. It basically just lists the dates of our meetings and some of the things that we will definitely be working on this year, such as the EEO4 report that we'll start working on in the month of July, and then to submit it to the federal EEOC by the deadline, which has not been established yet. But if there are any things that come up through this meeting and our other meetings, we'll continue to add to the calendar as we go, but currently this is what is plan to give you just an idea of some of the things that will be going on throughout the year.
Oriana Mahoney. So one of the things that we discussed in our conversations of things that we felt that we really needed as a committee was a plan for the year, right? So we developed this calendar. It is absolutely a working document that's going to continue to evolve. There are going to be more additions to things that we want to see throughout the years as we dive more into the EEO plan and we do make reference to things to you all periodically. I know that we added on here that staff development was going to be reporting out on some of the training numbers and that our employment services team is going to be reporting out on some things yearly, and these will happen yearly. As we continue to move into a direction of being a very working committee, there will continue to be things added at these meetings that really will bolster up some of the calendar offerings that we have in here. But we do want to just give you all an idea so that you know what dates to sort of set aside and some of the larger things that come up, like the annual holiday social, or, you know, when we have to elect chairs and vice chairs each term. And so this is something that I think was one of the things that you all asked for, and we wanted to present you with it. It will, again, like I said, continue to evolve as we start to develop and do more things as a committee.
Thank you, Oriana. Is there any, do we have any comments or questions
On that topic or on the?
on that topic?
No, I just want to thank you all for the calendar because I do find it helpful in terms of thinking of what's coming up and when.
And one of the other things that, in association with the calendar, we're going to make sure that all of the meetings are calendared out through the year and that sort of thing so that it's done ahead of time. So after today's meeting, you should start seeing all of those calendar invites go out for all of these things.
Great, very helpful, thank you.
Thank you. And review of information submission for the member webpage bio.
Yes. So the fun stuff, how we get to know you guys. So again, back to this webpage, the webpage that's going to be so amazing. One of the things that we talked about that we really wanted, again, with just being outward facing, and we wanted people to be able to recognize you all as committee members, was to develop and create a bio with a photo and a brief little synopsis of you, your experience, your passions around EEO, to put on the website. So again, this is something that's going to go on our main county website on sjgov.org. And it will go under our EEO page, and we will have an entire page dedicated just to the EEOAC, and that will have all of your bios on there. So this is just a quick little example. Feel free to modify it as you wish. The biggest things that I wanted to make sure that we have from you all are, you know, your photo, your name, any professional role or job title or position that you have or hold. And then we want to know your values that are important to your role in the committee, and at least one little hobby or interest, something that's that we can learn about you so that it can make you personable to the individuals in the community. They feel that you're approachable. The other pieces of information that you could include are things like education, skill set, expertise, work history, passions, and goals. I created a brief little example of one that sort of encompasses all of the things, and as you can see, it's not very long, but it sort of hits on all the targets, just a sentence from each. And it reads, Oriana Mahoney is an experienced human resources professional with over 20 years of working in the private, nonprofit, and public sectors. While obtaining her degree in political science from the University of California at Berkeley, she quickly realized her passion for justice-based initiatives within an organizational structure. Her motivations for supporting the EEOAC stem from her values that surround equitable access and ensuring a fair and just system are in place for all members of the community in which we are in service to. When she is not working hard at training San Joaquin County staff on the ethical practices that promote diversity and inclusion, she can be found spending time with her family, who she cherishes above all else. Oriana also enjoys movies, TV shows, and throwing elaborate gatherings. So it kind of just hits on all of the topics, a whole mouthful of too much about me. But it's, it really does, I think, give people an idea. And I know for me, anytime I'm thinking about joining any sort of advisory committee, anything like that, I like to see who I'm going to be working with. So when you're thinking of other individuals who are interested in joining the team, joining the committee, they want to see who are the other individuals and what type of experience and knowledge am I going to be working with? Because are these people that I'm going to be able to benefit from my professional experience and gaining knowledge around things that they may know that I don't, and vice versa. And it also gives a really in-depth look at how diverse our committee is, right? So our committee in itself is very diverse, and it gives that outward-facing appearance of being so, just like our community is. And so this committee is reflective of the community in which we're in service to, and so we want to make sure that people see that. So this bio will be very important, and I'm going to say that this is going to be due the same time. We'll call it March 1st. So that way you can just send us one email with all of your information, bio, and change to the mission.
Thank you, Oriana. That sounds, this sounds like a great idea, and I like all of the things you shared, and I also like to check people out too. Yeah, so, and we'll move right on to general comments from committee members. And so I have a few comments. I wanted to follow up, so we have, the committee has a subcommittee for the EEO plan review, and we've had some meetings, and would like to make some recommendations to the full committee on moving forward with the work that we'd like to do in reviewing the plan. So we'd like to first recommend that we pull out, extrapolate from the full plan an executive summary to be at the front of the plan, something to kind of give all of the individuals, including the Board of Supervisors who are super busy, a snapshot of everything that's in the whole plan. And then we would, as you spoke before, we'd like to look at streamlining some of the language in there to bring back for recommendation, mainly so that things are easy to follow, easy to read, and that they flow. And we would also like to incorporate action and result oriented. So I see action in the plan, and we see some results, but I think if they're, again, streamlined and maybe brought together, it'll be easier to digest.
Can I piggyback on that?
Absolutely.
So I think, and this is perhaps an agenda item for next time, just as a point of order. But I think as the three members of the subcommittee here, sorry, this is Johanna Schick for those of you participating virtually. We're recommending that the committee continue its work. And, I think that Nadja's summary is on point, but it might be a little hard to translate. What do they really mean by that? And so what we were talking amongst ourselves was that we could make these suggestions more concrete by kind of just creating a sample. Like when we say we're looking for more action-oriented language, or we think more action-oriented language would be helpful, or more results-oriented language would be helpful, here's a sample of current versus what we think would be helpful. Not to rewrite the whole report, but just to give you, like, here's a paragraph, and if we were to write this using this vision, this is what we would see it would look like. Because it's so hard to describe what it is that you mean, but if you can show a sample, and that will take some time for the committee to put together, but we've got time because we've got 2 years before this next report. Did I say that right?
Absolutely. Thank you.
Yeah, so I think the action item might be asking the full board if they're okay with the committee continuing and then making these kinds of suggestions for the full committee to, my thought is that we would bring those suggestions back to the full committee. The full committee would then vote on, yes, we agree that that's the direction the plan should take, or not. And then staff would then have clear direction as to how to move forward.
Linda Patrick, yeah, as the subcommittee has met, and Anaja mentioned the executive summary, and so in our research and our discussion, what we talked about is that that summary page be up front, and then when it's presented, the report, the EO report to the Board of Supervisors, that you can set the tone for what message you're trying to get across to the Board of Supervisors right away by highlighting, just key points that will be within the report, using such language as what is significant for this reporting cycle, and list those things, looking at the accomplishments, any partnerships that may have been formed over that cycle, that reporting cycle, what type of outreach, any new tools that have been introduced to help with the work, and then those goals that we set forth every reporting cycle, every 2 years. How are we doing on working on those goals? If that could be summarized up front, I think that will set the tone as they go through the more detailed report. And those charts, what do those charts really mean as it relates to recruitment and hiring of members of the community to work for the county?
Thank you so much, both of you, thank you. And so that will be able to be added to the agenda, okay. And then additionally, I wanted to bring up the diversity event. I know that I was on a committee with one other person, and that other person is not here anymore, so I'm a one-woman committee. But, so I did want to open that up if someone else would, or anyone else would be interested and want to participate in that. And if that doesn't happen, then I would just make the recommendation that I would work with maybe Oriana to come up with something to bring back to recommend to the committee. I do think that we should have the diversity event. So I don't want it to not go on because there's no other, individuals. So do we have anyone who'd like to volunteer currently, online or in person here? So hearing none, I will love to work on that, and Oriana, if that's okay, I can talk with you about just some planning about it, and then I'll have something to bring back to the full committee.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
I note that we have rather low attendance from the committee this meeting, so I just wonder if hopefully we'd have more people next meeting and that you might have opportunity to ask again.
And that's great, but I will go ahead and start putting something together.
Sure.
Maybe just a frame, so
Yeah.
someone can come in and we can kind of speak into that.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. The last thing I wanted to mention is the length of time of the meetings. And I wasn't sure if we wanted to bring that up, if 2 hours is absolutely necessary, or if an hour and a half. And I'm just throwing it out there because it seems like we're almost done with the agenda and it's 3:41, so I wasn't sure if.
One of the things that I would just say is that because we are still kind of getting our footing for some basic processes, that's something that you guys can vote on. We can add it to the agenda for the next time if you want to change how long the meetings are. An hour and a half probably sounds about right as opposed to 2 hours. But since we are trying to do more of a working committee and we are going to have some of those workshops and that sort of thing, and there are going to be presentations, I think that this particular meeting is very light in comparison to what we have moving forward. So I would also be a little cautious and maybe bring that up in another meeting or two and see if what the time frame starts to look like once we really dive into some of the work that we intend to do with you all.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Do any other committee members have any comments?
I have a couple questions. This is Johanna Schick. As I was reviewing the minutes, I noticed that in the minutes, we documented some deliverables, and I'm not sure that I've seen them, and so I just wanted to check on the status of a few things. So the minutes talked about having a draft script for the orientation video by the December meeting, and I think that is been postponed, but I just wanted to check and see when we should expect that, and, you know, maybe you know the answer, maybe you don't, I don't know, but
Yes, so we will have that at the next meeting. So the April meeting, we're gonna go over some of that draft language. We did get some feedback from you all at the October meeting, around some of the content that you wanted on there, so we will have that at the next one.
okay. And then on the Women's Committee, I'm just wondering where we're at with that, and there was talk about giving us a copy of the survey, and I just haven't heard anything recently.
The Women's Committee has currently been put on hold temporarily. So when there's more to report out on that, we will address it again in the meetings. But for right now, I think that with what we're trying to develop in this committee, there was a lot of discussion too about let's just, you know, get all of our ducks in a row first before we start adding some other ducks in there. So,
makes perfect sense.
So I think that for us, we want to just really focus on that right now. So we're putting a pin in the Women's Committee.
Makes perfect sense, because I feel like we have a lot on our plates already. I mean, even just coming up with a mission statement is a big deal, because it's what drives everything. It's what defines what we do. So that's really important foundational work, and so I think it's really smart to put off the Women's Committee until we get that figured out. My last question was, and this may have gone out and I may have missed it, but there was discussion about sending a link to the committee on developing, on a video on developing missions and visions. And I'm just wondering if it would be useful to either send or resend that as as part of the calendar invite, asking for their input on the mission statement.
Yes, my apologies. I thought that went out to you all, so we'll make
Could
sure that
very
it
well
might
have.
have, I don't know.
Yeah.
So I will make sure that gets sent with those calendar invites. And it's just really a quick little video on talking about the importance of the mission statement and why it's so impactful to have the right language in your mission statement and what sort of values you should really hold in there. So I think that it'll just be beneficial for you all to view. So I'll send that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have, excuse me, do we have any other comments or questions from committee members? Hearing none, do we have any public, oh, did you have?
Yes, so I'm looking at the minutes again from October and page 405C, the EEOAC roles and responsibilities. I remember there was a handout, but was that finalized? Was the committee's, if you could refresh my memory, are we still working on that as a committee? Do we have input to that as we look at this mission statement also, or is this finalized?
What we gave to you all was the current presentation of the roles and responsibilities for you all to be able to review. And as we were trying to tackle one thing at a time, we will probably bring that back as well. I would say it probably won't be at the next meeting because we already have the bio and the mission statement, and I don't want to also give you guys that one.
Okay.
So we will push that one to, what would it be, June? Right? April, May, June. So the June meeting, we will go over that, and most likely that will be one of the pieces of your next homework assignments in April.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we'll go on to, do we have any public comment?
There is no public comment.
Thank you. Well, that looks like it wraps up the meeting, our next meeting is going to be Wednesday, April 5th at 3 PM, located here in person, 44 North San Joaquin Street, Conference Room 146. Also via, is that Teams? Via Teams. And it looks like meeting will be adjourned at 3:47 PM. Thank you all for joining us.